So here's a good example of what can be achieved in just a few hours learning the Ocean Walker technique. Beforehand, old style, and then after just a few hours, below 30 seconds faster per 100 meters, much smoother in the stroke, and we're going to find out why. So I'm going to go into the detail of how we changed it and why now it's faster, also less effort, and there's a number of reasons why. This guy's come in specifically from Miami to learn the technique, and this is the result. Okay, so let's deal with the head first of all. So head actually is pretty similar, looking down, but in the top video, his head is moving around a lot more. So it's going from shoulder to shoulder, which is swaying his spine. You can see how the legs are going from side to side, and he's not got balance. So although he's looking down with a neutral head, his head is moving from side to side. And what's important in the Ocean Walker technique is you keep a neutral head looking down and the head doesn't move. So you don't want to follow that lead arm. So the arm that goes underwater, you don't want to follow it. Otherwise, you start snaking your body. Head's absolutely important that it doesn't move in order to keep the spine straight and to keep you swimming efficient and in a line. Next, we'll have a look at the arms. So the arms on the top one, he's getting some depth, but what he's doing is he's slightly hesitating just before he enters the water, and then he drives the arm in. So the bottom one, what's happening is the feet are turning that arm into the water. Now, that means that it's pure hip rotation on the bottom one. So he's initiating the hips via the feet in order to create the power, like you do in boxing, shot put, discus, hammer throw, all those sports. In the top one, he's spearing into the water, which is then chest driven, and it's not coming from the back end, which is the hips. Now, if it's chest driven, it's not as powerful. We know that from sports like golf. If you don't use your hips, it's not as powerful. Boxing is not as powerful. And kayaking is generated from the hips. So you put the paddle in, the hips go back, and then the paddle follows the hips. So it's the same principle in swimming, is you want to use the hips to create that power. Another thing is, you can see how he sort of lifts his back end up. So it comes up to the surface, but he's sort of with the arm driving his chest down, so his back end ends up higher than his front end. Now you want the spine in a line, and that's affecting his kick. So he's trying to get a bit of a kick, but he's actually creating a bit of a butterfly kick, a double kick, rather than a two beat, which is left kick, left pull, and right kick, right pull. So as his back end comes up, he then bends his knees and does this butterfly kick. Now, in order to get an effective kick in the Ocean Walker technique, you want your feet just underwater. Here, he's lifting his feet out the water, pressing down and not getting any connection. The kick is like a foot flick, so it's just underwater and it's a press down. You want to avoid going up and down, so lifting up more than you actually kick down. And as I say, I call it a foot flick as opposed to kicking from the knee. So I try and keep my knees as straight as possible, and the bottom one is keeping his legs much straighter, which is why he's more in a line and he's connecting better with the kick. So the movement of the roll, kick and pull, the timing works much better. As I say, with the top one, it's speared in from the chest, so it's nowhere near as quick. And then by driving deep, his back end comes up and he does this butterfly kick, which actually isn't connecting and giving him any power. The bottom one, he's got good rhythm from a roll, left kick, left pull, roll, right kick, right pull, roll, left kick, left pull. Say arms aren't going as much into the centre line. There's more work to be done, of course, but this is only a few hours and 30 seconds faster, and it's much more fluid. You want to avoid that chest driven. You can see how much more power you get from rolling the feet in to use the hips as opposed to using the chest. This can all be learned on Ocean Walker Vimeo, my online coaching series. I've got 35 videos at the moment. I add a video every month and it looks at body position, how we build up using the drills, and it builds it piece by piece. So you want to check out Ocean Walker Vimeo. It's on a link on the description on this video. But much more fluid. He's also sweeping the recovery arm on top. So again, we could probably have a little bit lower. So we just, every inch your arm is above the water is extra effort that you don't want to use. So you want it nice and low, skimming the top of the water. Whereas the top one, what he's doing, he's lifting more, and that's using the shoulders, so it's using more muscles. But then it also encourages him to spear down into the water, as opposed to getting in position about to enter, and then he rolls his feet to take the leading arm into the water, which is the ocean walker technique. The top one's a bit more conventional, driving that arm down. And as I say, you can see how the spine's not straight, and it's affecting how he kicks as well, not doing that nice foot flick. The other thing that happens when you breathe, if you do the technique well, so on the bottom one, what he's doing is he's kicking to get him over the cliff, to push his temple down in the water. So he's got a lower position when he breathes, as opposed to the top one, which is a little bit higher. He's actually not breathing much at all, actually, in the top one, if you look, because he hadn't learnt much of the breathing. There he breathes there, look. But 6 to 8 strokes without breathing is going to make him tense. He's not going to be relaxed into the stroke. Whereas in the bottom one, what we've created is a regular breath every 2, which keeps him nice and relaxed, keeps him fluid with rhythm, because breathing in this technique also helps the rhythm. So it helps you be relaxed, but it helps you in the glide phase. Whereas if you hold your breath, you're going to be tighter, you're going to start to starve yourself of oxygen, then there's a panic breath towards the end. And of course, you're going to tire faster that way. So breathing every 2 strokes is the way to go. Oxygen in, CO2 out. We're a machine, we need oxygen, and we also need to breathe out CO2 in order to stay relaxed. So that's what he's doing on the bottom one, to keep him nice, relaxed and smooth. As I say, on that bottom one, when he pulls to the groin, and then he skims a little bit lower, saving energy, as well as the top one where he's a little bit high. You can see more splash coming off those fingers when he does his recovery arm. So that was the other thing. So a lot better on the one below, more to come. There's things that we can certainly work on in order to get the rhythm even more fluid, keeping the knees together, getting the kick better connected. But it's a really, really good start in a matter of hours, and it just shows what can be achieved. So if you want to learn the Ocean Walker technique, you can always come and see me at the Ocean Walker Academy in Lincolnshire, like this guy did. That's Lincolnshire, UK. And if you look at oceanwalkeruk.com, you can find it there. Or if you can't visit me, then you can go to Ocean Walker Vimeo, my online coaching series. But I also do one-to-one via Skype, where you can send me your videos and we can go through it face-to-face. That's another option. But of course, I'm doing swim camps around the world, so I may be in your country at some point in the future. But otherwise, keep the swimming going. And there is a way to swim more efficient and more relaxed. And the Ocean Walker technique is the way to go. All the best.